All right, today we are diving deep into one of the most chilling urban legends to ever come out of Japan. We're talking about the Kuchisake Onna, the slit-mouthed woman. Now, this is a story that's so powerful, it actually caused real-world panic. And believe me, its origins are just as tragic as they are terrifying.
So, let's set the scene, because the legend almost always starts in a place just like this. Picture it. You're in Tokyo's super busy Shibuya district, but it's late. The neon lights are blurring on the wet pavement, but you're down a narrow, empty alleyway where everything has gone quiet. A young woman, we'll call her Akara, is just trying to walk home alone.
The only sounds are the sharp click of her heels on the ground and her own breathing, which is starting to get a little faster. But then, another sound cuts through the silence. It's the echo of a second set of footsteps, somewhere back there in the dark. She whips around, but there's nothing there, just shadows.
You know how some stories are so scary they start to feel real? They can spread through a city like a virus? Well, back in the late 1970s, that is exactly what happened in Japan. And in our story tonight, Akara is about to come face to face with the reason for all that fear.
Okay, so Akara's heart is just pounding in her chest. She starts walking faster, right? But the footsteps behind her match her pace perfectly. And then it happens. A figure steps out of the shadows right in front of her.
It's a tall woman, wrapped in a long, dark coat. Her hair is covering most of her face, and the rest is hidden behind a stark white surgical mask. Now, that's a pretty common sight in Tokyo, but here, in this dark alley, it's just plain creepy. The figure blocks her path, stands completely still, and then asks a simple, horrifying question.
Am I beautiful? The voice is weird, kind of muffled by the mask. Akara is completely frozen with fear. She wants to scream, she wants to run, but she is just paralyzed. The woman takes a step closer, her hand reaching for the mask. And then suddenly, she just bursts out laughing.
It was her roommate, Anna. She was just messing with her, playing a prank, using the city's growing paranoia about the Kuchisake Onna legend. Akara is furious, but mostly she's relieved. It was just a dumb, tasteless joke. Or so she thought.
Because a few nights later, that joke becomes a terrifying reality. This time it's Anna who's walking home alone through that exact same alley. And once again, she hears footsteps echoing behind her.
Anna turns around and sees the same figure, long coat, surgical mask. Thinking it's Akara getting her back, she decides to play along. Of course, she says, "You're very beautiful." The figure steps closer and asks the question again. But this time, the voice is different. It's chillingly different.
And this is the moment the legend crashes into reality. The woman slowly pulls down her mask. Anna's smirk just vanishes. Because under it isn't the face of her friend. It's a grotesque, bloody wound, a mouth carved wide open from ear to ear with raw flesh just hanging down. Her teeth are stained a deep crimson.
And here is the legend's brutal, inescapable trap. "You said I was beautiful," the spirit hisses. "Now you must be beautiful too." See, if you say yes, she takes out a pair of scissors and slits your mouth to look just like hers. If you say no, she kills you right there on the spot. Anna, absolutely terrified, screams that she's ugly. And that was the wrong answer.
In our story, Anna's murder is the very first one. And what's crazy is how this mirrors the real-world panic that took over Japan. This one story started to multiply, becoming this huge wave of alleged sightings and attacks that threw whole cities into a frenzy. We're talking police escorts for school kids, a whole population terrified of the slit-mouthed woman. So, as the body count in this legend starts to rise, a new character comes into the picture. Someone who understands what's really going on. A priest, we'll call him Hoshuma. He knows this isn't the work of some human killer. He recognizes it as an onryō, a specific, powerful type of ghost in Japanese folklore, basically a spirit that has returned to our world seeking vengeance.
So where did she come from? Well, the origin story is said to go all the way back to the Heian period. She was this woman of breathtaking beauty, married to a samurai, but he became completely consumed by jealousy. In a fit of absolute rage, he took a pair of scissors, sliced her face open, and screamed, "Who will think you're beautiful now?" She died, of course, but her soul came back as a vengeful spirit, forever trapped by that pain and rage.
Hoshuma, determined to stop the killings, heads into the dark alleyways.
He's armed with sacred salt and a holy talisman, which are traditional tools used in Shinto purification rituals. He confronts the spirit, and just as she lunges for him, he hurls the salt and talisman at her. She lets out this blood-curdling shriek and vanishes. For a few days, the city is peaceful. It really seems like the nightmare is finally over.
But Hoshuma's victory was, well, it was short-lived. He hadn't actually banished her. All he'd done was make her angry. He had shown her a new kind of power. This wasn't the end. This was just the calm before a much, much deadlier storm.
So the Kuchisake Onna returns, but she's changed. She's evolved. I mean, that's what urban legends do, right? They adapt to our modern fears. She's no longer tied to the dark alleys where she died. No, she's learned how to travel through any reflective surface, turning the entire city into her personal hunting ground. Suddenly, nowhere is safe.
And the escalation is absolutely terrifying. A young guy named Masato is just watching videos on his phone when the screen suddenly goes black. Her horrifying face appears, the glass shatters, and she literally materializes in his room. The attacks are happening in bathrooms, through office computer monitors, you name it. If it has a reflection, it's a doorway for her.
Hoshima is just devastated. He realizes that his attempt to fight her has only made things worse. He's unleashed an even greater evil on the city. He knows this all started with him, and now he has to be the one to end it, for good. So he goes back to that same dark alley, but his plan is different this time. He gets it now. He can't fight pure rage with force. He calls out to her, and she appears before him, the air instantly turning ice cold. And once again, she asks her question. But instead of chanting prayers or throwing salt, Hoshuma speaks to the woman she used to be. He tells her the truth. He says it wasn't her beauty that was the problem. It was her husband's madness. Her face was not her soul. And he tells her that by killing innocent people, she has finally become the ugly monster her husband always accused her of being.
And then, for the final blow, he holds up a sacred mirror. For the very first time, the spirit is forced to see her own reflection, not the beautiful woman she once was, but the hideous, vengeful phantom she is now. The truth in his words, combined with that horrifying image, it breaks the curse. She lets out one last agonized shriek and just dissolves into smoke, gone forever.
So, Hoshuma brought peace back to Tokyo. The city's reflections were safe again. But it leaves you with a really chilling question, doesn't it? When a legend is born from that much pain and anger, can it ever really be erased? Or is it just waiting in the shadows for the next person to ask, "Am I beautiful?"